A lot of people are just like, how could I get to net zero? How do I go from 325 annual fee to net zero with my resi credits and whatnot?
Whenever I look at videos anywhere in the credit card space, it's just, the Amex ecosystem is just a goat because of earning. And honestly, it comes down to this one card. But, if you take a look at the one way, which is how we booked it, that was $8,000 in business class seats. And then, I think it was like 2,000 or 3,000 in the Virgin for premium economy. So
no one's really saying like, oh, I got $10,000 in flights. That means that pays my gold annual fee for 30 years. No one's actually saying that.
Honestly, I think the reason why the credits don't matter for this card in particular, and there's a decent amount of credits on this one, right? Is because
and that was, you did a video talking about why, I guess in that specific video, like the Amex Gold card, like the credits and stuff that come along the card. And even though you do appreciate a lot of the credits, the Amex Gold, you said in like, I guess long term, they don't necessarily matter. So why do you think that, credits on these cards, things that we're always obsessing over, don't matter too much? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, honestly, I think the reason why the credits don't matter for this card in particular, and there's a decent amount of credits on this one, right? Is because just the multipliers are just so freaking awesome, right?
Hmm.
4x on dining, 4x on groceries, 3x on airfare, and hotels through the portal, right? That's a lot of really heavy hitting categories, especially now that egg prices are through the roof, right? You go to
Right.
you,
Yeah.
you go to Publix and you got to get in a firm just to be able to feed the family, right?
For each egg too. It's just crazy. Each egg
Exactly,
is
right.
sold
Yeah,
separately now. Yeah.
yeah. And so honestly, like, I think so this was actually the first card that I just gave my wife carte blanche. And I was like,
Hmm.
because when we started, the whole credit card game thing, like I really kind of full bore into it, last year, about a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
And it was just like, building up the points, building up everything. And then once we like did that full, like once we booked the December trip and she saw, wait a minute, like we're
Hmm.
staying for free in Paris, right? We're going business class Air France. Once she saw like what was possible with these things, she was like, all right, what do I got to do? And I was like, spend on this thing, and
Right.
and so she did it for like 3 months, and over the course of those 3 months we got like nearly 100,000 Amex points just from
Wow.
spend. And it was really like incredible, like in that I think that's one of the things that I hear whenever I look at videos anywhere in the credit card space is just the Amex ecosystem is just a goat because of earning. And honestly, it comes down to this one card. Like, yeah, the Blue
Hmm.
Business Plus is also really great. But the Platinum, unless you're a consultant who's flying a couple times a year,
Hmm.
that's not going to be an earner for you. It's going to be the gold card. And they got the multipliers.
Definitely. That's pretty crazy. 100,000 points just on spent, not even including the welcome offer, you're saying?
Yeah, not including the welcome offer. Yeah. So yeah,
I mean, how
we
many?
actually got 212,000 points last year, and 60,000 of them were from the welcome offer. Yeah.
Jeez, how many eggs are you buying, man? 4x per egg? That's
Well,
kind of
so
crazy.
some of that's Rakuten, but I
Right.
got the gold card before I got the green card, so I even got that without a sign-up bonus just because I
Wow.
liked it so
I
much.
remember in that video you talked about, the certain amount of points that you earn. So in this case, I guess 100K or maybe it's more or less. And in part of like not worrying about like, oh, can I recoup the, credits on the card, every single year? A lot of people are just like, how could I get to net zero? How do I go from 325 annual fee to net zero with my resi credits and whatnot? But I guess in your case, your spend was so high, or even on the welcome offer alone, it gave you enough to fly in business class. Let people know what happened. You went to England and France, but how did you get there? What was the points? How'd you
Yeah,
redeem them?
definitely. So
Let's hear that value.
the top line is so we decided, so first of all, when we booked, so this was July of last year, we only had like 110,000 points at the time in our account, and so like we were kind of limited in trying to figure out, okay, what can we do with this, right?
Hmm.
And so we the first off the bat, we knew we want to do, if we could do business class on the way back, let's do it.
Hmm.
And pretty much we started off with everything that I saw online was stay as flexible as possible. And so I was looking at, first of all, I was looking at flights to get there. Then I was looking at flights to get back, and I was trying to figure out, okay, we know we want to go to two different countries. I can look for, I can go back from London. I can come back from Paris, like however that works. So I
Mm,
was doing huge searches for a couple of days. Just I was on Point.me, the
mhm.
Amex version of it.
Yeah.
And so I was just looking, searching. I searched too much, and they shut me down, and I had to wait a couple days.
Oh, really?
Um,
That's a thing?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. But honestly, we found two business class flights from Paris to JFK, and that
Mm,
was $100,000 even. And
mm,
so because it was from Paris to JFK, like you didn't have to worry about any of the Heathrow fees or
mm,
taxes, which was also really big for us. So we had that booked, and we only had, and so at that time, a couple, the next month, I think we had like 14,000 points, and
mm.
for some reason that was, I actually found a premium economy, two premium economies from Orlando to Heathrow for that amount of points. And then,
Oh, wow.
there were fees and stuff. I forgot exactly how much they were.
Mm,
And so like those points, like we cleared out, we emptied it ourselves out, and that took care of, it took care of our flights, getting there and then getting back. And we
wow.
also had a boundless offer. So we had,
Mm,
the free nights from that last
mhm,
year. And so that took care of the hotel in Paris. And then we
mm,
just actually had the only thing we had to do then was take care of the hotel in London. And,
mm.
we got a pretty good deal on that too.
So I think what was the actual flights? Was it did I remember correctly, is it Virgin Business
Yeah,
on the
Virgin
way
Premium
home?
Economy out, and then
Okay.
on the way home it was Air France Business to JFK, and then the wife had some Delta points, so we did a positioning flight back to Orlando.
Got it,
Which
got
honestly,
it.
doing the
Mhm.
the positioning flight after the business class flight seats, not fun.
Oh, really?
Your knees are in your chest, and you're just like jammed in there with all the regular people.
So what do you and so what do you think the total value was on, just between the premium economy and that business class with for those what was the total, like 100,000 points you said? Or, no,
So
less
yeah,
than
so it was
that, right?
114,000
Oh,
for
14.
both of the flights.
Nice.
And honestly, so that saved me. I was looking at, so when I was, it's how European flights, if you price it out one way, they're astronomical. And if you
Mm,
price it out like round trip, then it's a lot more reasonable. And
mm.
reasonable being $3,000 or $4,000 for a business class seat. Um, but if you take a look at the one way, which is how we booked it, that was $8,000 in business class seats, and then
Jeez.
I think it was like 2 or 3,000 in the Virgin for premium economy. So,
Nice.
it's I definitely wouldn't have spent that much. I don't have that much to spend on airfare, but it was definitely the experience of a lifetime.
I mean,
It
like
was
over
incredible.
10K worth of flights technically, over time. That's always the weird thing. It's like, oh, would you have spent that? But it's like, yeah, but then I wouldn't have experienced it anyway. So I never really like when you can't say the full dollar amounts of a particular thing because it's cool to say it. It's like you like to.
Yeah,
It's like bragging rights, like, oh, you got an 8K flight, I got a 10K flight. How crazy is that? No one's really saying like, oh, I got $10,000 in flights. That means that pays my gold annual fee for 30 years. No one's actually saying that. you know.
right. Yeah,
There was a couple other things I actually wanted to ask on this trip, and then there's some other topics I want to get into just because, I'm just curious about certain things. So you made a video talking about how the Hilton Aspire card kind of like elevated your European vacation experience. There it is.
yeah. But actually, so I'm gonna tell you guys that you're probably going to delete me from the live immediately now. But I actually got this card without the sign up bonus because they wouldn't give it to me. Um,
Oh,
but yeah,
uh-oh. We got to hear that
but
story,
yeah,
man. What are you doing?
yeah. So I got the Hilton business, and I think it was like an upgraded offer. I think it was like 160 or 165 or something like that,
Mm,
thousand points. And so I had that, and then I was trying. So I had the gold. I was the gold status. I was like, I really want to get the diamond status because I knew we were going to the Conrad, and I knew that I want to pay Conrad lounge prices. So
mm,
with the Conrad, so it's like you can pay for the lounge, and so you get the executive classroom with the access to the lounge. And so that was about 100 to 150 pounds per night. And so you have to think
mm,
about the fact that the pound is so much stronger than the dollar. So
Hmm.
100 pounds is like $150
Hmm.
extra per night to go to the executive lounge. Like, I really want to make this happen. So, I viewed like, picking up this card was just by having the Aspire or the Diamond status rather, was saving, $150 a night times four. So, would I've actually paid
Hmm.
that much? No, but, I really wanted the card and, the math helped.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting way to justify. And just to have it clear for everybody, the Conrad is in that was in London.
Yeah, that was in London. So London's St. James. So that's right in the heart of Westminster, which is like, so Buckingham Palace was just down the road, and then
Wow.
as was Parliament and Big Ben and all that. So it was right across the street from a tube station. So that was nice.
You were able to book this Conrad, but yeah, an additional charge of 150 per night if you wanted to have access to the executive lounge in the Conrad.
Yeah,
But since you had diamond status, that gave you that for free. Now
100%.
from what I've heard over the years, like there's been so many hotels I was actually in. Well, actually not so many, but a couple that I was in that had executive lounges here in the United States. But since it and getting rid of a lot of things, a lot of them shut down. So I never got to fully experience one. So what is that experience like at a Conrad in London near Buckingham Palace? For the executive lounge via Hilton Diamond, like, do they just tell you when you
Yeah.
check in, like, yeah, you have access, and then they give you a card, or how's that process like?
So yeah, so thanks for setting me up for that, because I'm going to paint a picture, and you're gonna be like, okay, he did the right decision.
Oh yeah.
So our flight, we did the overnight flight. So we left Orlando, I think it was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, or PM, and then we arrived in England. We were supposed to arrive in England at 6 a.m.
Hmm.
But we had some nice headwinds, so we arrived there at 5.
Hmm.
And so which kind of had some trouble with our driver, but because we got a private driver to get us to the hotel, just because the wife was like, we would really just, I want as less stress as possible.
Yeah.
And so that was, it ended up not working out, but so we were, got to the hotel, I think 6:30 a.m., and we were both just wiped because, you don't really sleep a whole lot when you're just sitting in premium economy. At least I didn't. It's not a fun sleeping position. And so we were just tired. We were just like, we have this whole day that we're supposed to be doing. What are we supposed to be doing? Like, we went and checked with the front desk, because, like, what is it even possible to get into a room at this point? Of course it wasn't. But what they did do was, like, the guy at the front desk, he saw that we were, diamond members qualified for the lounge. And so he actually gave us keys directly for the lounge and then escorted us there. And
Hmm.
so in the lounge there, so not only do they have like a living room area, like, tables and things like that, but they also have like shower suites inside the lounge. And so we're actually able to kind of get showered, get, kind of cleaned up. And we were able to take a little kind of a little snooze in the, kind of the armchairs by the fireplace. And honestly, like, in the eyes of the wife, like, my ability to get that lounge was like kind of made, at least, the first day of that trip. And so, at least I hope so. And so, yeah, so, like, it's, just that experience alone was kind of incredible. But also, like, the free booze was nice. The wine selection was actually really nice. And then, they had afternoon tea every day, free breakfast, which, you get a better breakfast downstairs, but it's nice to kind of, be among the regular people, the nice people, um
Yeah.
and then they have afternoon canapes. So, like, it's they
Hmm.
actually put effort into it. There's always someone there. They're always cleaning up after you. They're always willing to, like, help you, like, it's awesome.
Could you compare it to, like an airport lounge in a way? Like, is there any airport lounge you would, relate it to?
So, yeah, so I'm going to answer that question based off of, like, the decor. Um, it was kind of like the Air France lounge, just because everything was like
Hmm.
nice and kind of like, regal-ish.
Hmm.
But it's nothing like an airport lounge, because, there was never a time where I felt like, wow, there's just way too many people here. Like,
Hmm.
even during breakfast, like, it was probably half the seats were full, and that was the fullest I ever saw it.
Wow.
And so, like, it was never overwhelming. Like, it was just, it's they restrict the access there, and it's, it shows.
well, once I was actually surprised to hear something like, the premium Wi-Fi that we get in. We always just, it's just premium Wi-Fi. What am I worried about? But you actually said it was pretty beneficial in this way when you were
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, so the premium Wi-Fi, it's only beneficial if you're someone that uploads large files. Which like so pretty much like I was looking at it and the download speeds was very comparable to, the regular internet. But the premium uploads, I think were like, like I think it was like 40 or 50 megabytes per second up. And so definitely a lot better than the regular. It still wasn't that great, but it
Mhm.
was definitely enough to like, make uploading videos a lot faster, which was nice.
That's what you pay for.
Yeah.
That's the diamond
Yeah.
status.
That's it. Yeah.
um,
And so that concludes why I got diamond status, just the internet.
Could you imagine? This is his channel, Mr. Points with Philip. You just literally just type in points with Philip and it'll come up. Some goes in depth on a lot of the things we talked about today. I want to say thank you, Phil, for giving me your time today. Much
Thanks for having
appreciated.
me. It's been an incredible opportunity.